Okay, so something happened yesterday that was awesome for Canada and truthfully the world as well. Mark Carney flew into New York, walked into a room full of American investors and said, and I want to make sure I get this exactly right, Canada Strong will help make America great again.
Yep, he used Trump's slogan in New York against Trump. Something no world leader has even dared to do. And the room reacted. And remember, these aren't people who clap for one-liners. These are finance people, investment people. They are not there for the zingers.
Nope, but they clapped for that one because they understood it immediately. Canada wasn't asking for anything in that room. Canada was there making a statement. And honestly, I do want to sit with that for a minute today because I think the full weight of what happened there in New York hasn't quite taken effect yet.
So let's back up a little and actually talk about what this speech was all about. Because it's tempting to just focus on the line and move on. The slogan flip is definitely the headline, but Carney's full argument in that room, that's the substance.
Yeah, his case was this. The things that actually make America competitive, reliable energy, critical minerals, food security, stable democratic alliances, Canada is where a lot of that comes from and has done for decades. And the last year of terror threats, that 51st state talk and all that crap, in practical terms, it was the U.S. taking shots at the very things that keep its own economy functioning. Simple, right?
And Carney said that very plainly in New York. Not at a press conference in Ottawa where you're preaching to the choir who already agree with you. This was on American turf directly speaking to American money.
And here's what I do keep thinking about. Picture how that speech gets delivered a year ago. A year ago, it's, we deeply value this partnership. We're committed to resolving our differences. We remain a trusted ally. It would have been careful, diplomatic, and soft, really.
So when Canada approached the U.S. like that, it never moved anything. Every single time we put out a signal of reassurance, the response was just another demand. So at some point, that had to shift. And Prime Minister Carney did that. He asked a question, what if we stop trying to manage their feelings and just state the reality?
And the reality is, you need our stuff. So in a nutshell, him stating that Canada Strong will help make America again is just the reality, delivered in language that they can't dismiss without dismissing their own slogan. It's actually a brilliant strategy.
And here's the part that I want to spend a little more time on because I think it's the most important piece of all of this. The posture behind the message. Because what changed in that room wasn't just the words. It was who was saying them and how.
Yeah, we all know that when you're genuinely anxious about a relationship, like Canada was about the US for a really long time, your whole approach is managing the other person's mood. You soften everything. You preemptively apologize for things that you haven't even done yet.
Yeah, Dave, and people feel that, especially people in business. They can tell the difference between someone who's negotiating from anxiety and someone who's negotiating from a position of power because they have something real to offer.
And Carney in New York, that was real confidence. And the reason it was real, not performed, is that Canada has spent the last 18 months actually building the things that make confidence possible. Just look at what's been happening over this past 18 months. The European relationships are deepening. The trade routes are expanding. And this one came out just this week, India's trade delegation, one of the largest India has ever sent to Canada.
And that doesn't just happen out of the blue. When a country the size of India sends a delegation that significant, they've looked at the whole landscape and made a very clear choice. And that choice was Canada. Not because of any grand announcement or big headline moment, but because of what the world is now seeing in Canada. They're seeing stability and reliability. They're getting the sense that Canada is a place you can actually count on.
Which is the best possible advertisement for everything that Prime Minister Carney was selling in New York. And I find that fascinating because it's not propaganda. The world is just looking at the options and arriving at the same conclusion.
Okay, So, Carney has used the phrase strategic autonomy a few times, and I think we should break down what that actually means in plain language, because it sounds like a policy document phrase. But truthfully, the idea is simple. You build enough real partnerships and enough genuine alternatives that no single relationship can hold you hostage like the US has been doing for decades.
And once that's true, once those options exist and everyone knows that they exist, the conversation changes completely. You're not negotiating from fear anymore. You're negotiating from choice.
And here's what's different now versus, say, even 6 months ago. Those options aren't hypothetical anymore. Europe isn't a backup plan. India isn't a backup plan. China, Asia, these are all active functioning relationships that are deepening right now while the US and Canada file is sitting frozen.
And the investors in that New York room, they understand exactly what that means. Supply chains, they don't give a crap about politics. If Canada comes easier to work with than the US is to work with, well, then capital and money moves. And Carney didn't beat around the bush on that one either. He wasn't threatening anyone here. He was just naming the reality of where things actually are. Now, we also have to talk about the Trump side of this, because the administration has put genuine effort into building a narrative. Canada is a freeloader. Canada has been exploiting American goodwill. Canada hasn't been pulling its weight. And that message, it did have some traction in the financial sector. I mean, not universally, but it was definitely out there.
But here's what has happened since. The business community in America, the actual real money in the country, has watched the tariffs land, and they've watched the retaliatory measures go up, and they've watched their own margins get complicated. They don't care about the politics. They care about what's happening to their supply chains and their costs. And the math, it doesn't support that Canada is a problem anymore.
And so Carney walks into New York and says, hey, we're still here. We didn't start this. And here's what the relationship looks like when it works properly. You don't have to love Canada to find that appealing. You just have to care about your business. What a great message.
Although loving Canada is a plus.
It is.
And apparently, there were quite a few people in that room who care about their business because the response kind of told us everything we needed to know.
Yep. Everybody clapping. That was a great message. And by the way, that slogan flip at the end is so effective because it makes the counter argument almost impossible to say. If you believe make America great again and Canada provides the things that achieve that, then Canada isn't the enemy.
And when you say that in Trump's own language in a room full of American money, that's not accidental. Someone thought that through very, very carefully.
All right, so what do we think about all of this? Well, I think that what happened in New York is a genuine before and after moment. Not just because of that one speech, but because this speech represents something that's now complete. The turn, it's happened. Canada has officially stopped trying to win this argument on America's terms.
Yep, we finally stopped defending. We finally stopped reassuring and stopped preemptively justifying having a point of view. And instead, we have started just stating the reality in rooms that matter to people who have the ability to actually change the direction of this entire conversation.
The question we don't know the answer to yet, and I'm genuinely curious to see what all of you think about this, is whether the business community in the US has enough influence to push back on Trump and his cronies when the politics are obviously going the other way.
And Canada needs to keep building and keep showing up in rooms like that one in New York, that one in Davos, all those meetings around the world. We have to make our face and our argument reliable while we wait.
Which we seem to be doing, right? Which is great to see. All right, so of course we got a question for you today. So let's hear from you. Do you think the slogan flip was a genuine strategic move? Something that actually changes minds in that business community? Or was it mostly just a great moment that stays a great moment?
And do you think Canada's new, more confident posture is the more effective way than what we were doing a year ago?
So let us know in the comments because we love reading them and we love hearing what you have to say.
And if this resonated with you today, share it because it genuinely makes a difference for us.
And don't forget to give it a like, a hype, and a share, because people need to see this.
So we'll see you tomorrow, everyone. Ciao for now.
Thanks for watching.